Welcome everyone. We hope you're enjoying the ProQuizzin League Battle of the Youth. We're back with the third quiz of the tournament, and this time it's the Science and Tech quiz. We've already gone through the Brands and Biz quiz. Last week we saw the History and Heritage quiz, and now we're going to see some familiar faces return in a new clash of heads for Science and Tech. This is Dhruv Mukherjee, and I'm joined by Shamonai Banerjee. And Shamonai, we are ready for yet another closely fought contest with some names who are very, very commonly seen in open quizzes this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm equally excited to see them in action as well. I mean, these are some quizzes who can give some regular, serious open house quizzes a run for their money.
Which is only great because if you've been seeing how the questions have been framed, they allow for classical quizzing principles of working out answers and coming up with answers that really please the viewer and, of course, your teammates when you answer them well. Without further ado, let's take a look at the points table as it stands after 2 episodes. All right, 2 games done. Leading the points table at the current moment are the Bengaluru Aces with 11 points, followed by the Ahmedabad Intellects with 8, as indeed are the Kolkata Wizards. The Chennai Erudites with 7, followed by the Brainiacs and the Geeks with 5 points. This table could change in a hurry by the end of this episode. Let's not waste any time. Let's find out who the 6 contestants are who will be representing the 6 franchisees in the Science and Tech quiz this week. Representing the Mumbai Geeks, we've got Adarsh Mohapatra, G. Akshay leading the Chennai Erudites today. The Ahmedabad Intellects led by Soumya Sharma. Ayush Patni returns to lead the Kolkata Wizards today. We've got the home team today, the Bengaluru Aces fronted by Piyush Kedia, and another familiar face from the first episode, Parthodhar returns to lead the Delhi Brainiacs. It's going to be a very, very close fought contest because a lot of these faces regularly go head-to-head in some major open quizzes. So we're likely to see some very high-quality answers and at the very least, some great guesses. So without further ado, Shamonai, let's find out what the first round of the Science and Tech quiz is going to be.
Yes, Dhruv, absolutely. And as usual, I'm sure our viewers by now have already known that what are our first round of the 4 rounds of quizzing that we are going to witness here. The first round is, of course, knives out. Each team, as usual, gets 1 direct question where they can have at max 3 clues. If they answer it in the first clue, they get a plus 150. If they answer it right in the second, they get a plus 100. And if they answer it in the third, they get a plus 50. But a very important part is there is no passing here, but teams can actually use their double cards, which their team management saved up from the auction. Right? So the 2x card is available in the first and third round. This is one of those rounds where you can really double your score. It makes it a little more exciting. Without further ado, let's jump into the action.
Yes, indeed. Remember, the first round is easy going for 5 teams because there's no pressure on them to answer. They just have to sit back and watch. The maximum they'll experience is a lot of frustration as sitters come someone else's way. All right, let's take a look at the seating order, which has been decided by the Bengaluru Aces, who are the home team today. You've got Mumbai Geeks up first with the first question. Co-founded by Miles Davis, Led Zepp and Pankaj Udhas fan, it's a sensationally spelt freemium service.
Okay. So you essentially have it's essentially related to music. So that is quite a clue in the first, but let's take a look at what Adarsh has to say.
Yeah.
All right, he's gone for the second clue. Named after a 5th entry in an exhaustive list, it was promoted by Ranbir Kapoor as a creative collaborator.
Yeah, so now we are into India. Of course, we had Pankaj Udhas in the first clue itself. But yeah, how many, this kinds of narrows down, how many music services in India, homegrown, do you know about? Let's see what Adarsh has to say.
Doesn't look confident.
Yeah.
Goes for the third clue. On the 23rd of March 2018, Reliance Industries Limited acquired a majority stake merging it with Geo music.
Savan.
Ah, he's got it right. This is indeed Savan, or as it's now known, Geo Savan.
Yeah, others probably think that we should have answered it a little earlier. But nonetheless, we move to Chennai Erudics now. Dhruv, take it away.
G. Akshay, your question. I built a program in school that learned music taste and turned down Microsoft's $1 million offer.
Yeah, talking about a prodigy here. Very, very famous name probably. But let's see.
Sean Parker.
All right, the second clue. In 2016, I founded the solar sail spacecraft development project named Breakthrough Starshot with Yuri Milner and Stephen Hawking. Big names there.
Yes, absolutely.
Mark Zuckerberg.
And he gets the prodigy right now. It is indeed Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook fame.
Yeah, indeed. And we will take a look at the third clue nonetheless. The third clue, which G. Akshay didn't require here. Yeah, that was a third clue. I was played by J.C. Eisenberg in a 2010 David Fincher film, of course, The Social Network. Easy peasy there. 100 points to G. Akshay. Move to Soumya from Ahmedabad.
All right, a direct question now for the Ahmedabad intellects on your screen. An epitome of peace. In the words of Jawaharlal Nehru, without me, India would not have seen a chain of national laboratories.
Indeed, and there's a hidden clue.
Is it Meghnad Saha?
Says Meghnad Saha, unfortunately, gets to the second clue. Founder director of the CSIR and first chairman of the UGC.
Huge names there.
Vishweshwaraya.
Vishweshwaraya, so at least he's getting some big names in as guesses. I lend my name to the most coveted award in multidisciplinary science in India. This should make it a sitter.
Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar.
And he gets it right. SS Bhatnagar indeed. The third clues really seal it. So you don't want to wait for them and unnecessarily let go of 50 points. You'd like to get it right in 50 points. All right, it's the direct now for Ayush Patni and the Kolkata Wizards. The subject of a 2019 Netflix documentary, my work led to the discovery of the Higgs boson. They're all Netflix and chill geeks, aren't they, Shamunai?
Indeed, I'm sure they should know this. Higgs boson, huge name there. Let's see what Ayush has to say for 150 points.
Satyendranath Bose.
SN Bose is the wrong guess. He gets a second clue. Disowned in my home country for my faith, despite reciting the Holy Quran in front of the King Carl XVI Gustav.
Now you have a religious clue there. Ayush thinking hard.
Next one.
He's gone for the third clue. Bow low and place your hand on the forehead for me, the first Pakistani to win the Nobel Prize. Beautifully worded clue.
Abdul Salam.
And beautiful answer there, Abdul Salam indeed. That really sealed it. The first Pakistani to win the Nobel Prize, Shamunai.
Yes, indeed. And the tangential clue there, and Ayush sealed it absolutely right. The most important part is Kolkata opens their account with 50 points.
And now it's a question directly for the Bengaluru Aces, the home team today, remember. They've chosen the seating order. Piyush Kedia, first clue on screen, coming up now. An ardent lover of the Upanishads, although I named my dog Atma, I am more intimately associated with the different species of pet. Interesting framing. Piyush also raises his eyebrows. He's, of course, one of the star quizzes on the circuit, Shamunai.
And he's our most valuable player from the auction. So Bengaluru has a very important pick there.
Next clue.
He's gone for a second clue. Not fond of theories, I created waves in the field of quantum mechanics.
Jayat Narlikar.
Not Narlikar, it passes for the third clue. Born in Vienna, I shared the 1933 Nobel Prize for Physics with Dirac.
Okay, for 50 points.
Okay, Schrodinger.
Okay, Schrodinger, he says. Smile on his face, but he's obviously kicking himself for missing it. But he's nonetheless got 50 precious points. So the Aces, they're off the mark. All right, all the teams off the mark now. Erwin Schrodinger, Shamunai.
The first clue was a reference to Schrodinger's cat, and Schrodinger had a dog named Atman, intricately associated with the Upanishads. All the teams have opened their account. No pressure on Partho, but we'll take a look at his question. Dhruv, take it away.
First clue on your screens right now for Partho Dhar and the Delhi Brainiacs. All right. I am an American computer scientist after whom Google's fourth privately owned undersea cable connecting the US, UK, and Spain is named? It goes for Nut, which was a guess
I'll
in the
guess
first quiz.
Donald
but
Nutt.
Nut is not
KNUT.
the right answer, Shobhanay.
Donald Nutt.
Go for a second clue.
I served on the Mark I computer programming staff headed by Howard Aiken, with whom I co-wrote multiple papers. So obviously a big name from the world of IT.
Mark 1 should give you a timeline clue. Also computer programming. Partho thinking hard.
Turing. Next one.
He goes for Turing and asks the next clue at the same time. Associated with multiple breakthroughs in computing, including COBOL, as well as the first instance of debugging. Time to put it to bed now, Partho Thor.
Yeah, this is Grace Hopper, Admiral.
And he doesn't miss out. This is indeed Grace Hopper. So all the teams after Mark, which is going to be a huge relief for the team management and is going to give them a lot of confidence going into the second round. Before we get there, let's take a quick look at the scores. So you've got 5 teams right now on 50, and the Chennai Erudites leading at the current moment with 100 points. So absolutely nothing separating the teams, everything to play for. Shobhanay, it's time for round 2 once again.
Yes, absolutely. All set for a thrilling quiz. This is indeed a lock and load. 6 questions clockwise, 1 direct for each team. But this round actually passes, and it passes differentially. So if you get it right for the direct, you get 100 points. But if it passes, then it passes in the order of 150, 200, 250, 300, and finally 350 points. So the entire quiz can change in a matter of a single question there. Lots at stake. Look, let's take a look at the first question of round 2.
All right. The body language of all the contestants now is going to change. Everyone's going to lean forward and look because it's going to pass. Question 1. All right, first question on your screen right now for Adarsh Mohapatra and the Mumbai Geeks. Which word was first used in its modern sense by French writer Auguste Villiers de l'Isle-Adam in his novel The Future Eve, the story of a man who replaces his lackluster wife with a robot manufactured by Thomas Edison?
Quite the plot there through, but I think others knows this somehow. You have to hear an answer for him. It's 100 for him, but nonetheless, he can have to stop the other teams from answering. That's most important here.
I guess Android.
And he says Android. He knows his science and he knows
Human
his science fiction. He
like robots.
knows his literature. That is indeed the right answer. This is Android. 100 points in the kitty for the Mumbai Geeks. Nobody's going to score points of them in this round. Let's see whether the Chennai Erudites and G. Akshay can match that performance. Question 2. Players can buy costumes, virtual dance moves, and pre-release modes inside the app using a special currency called V-Bucks. You can earn free V-Bucks, or you could choose to buy them instantly by paying actual money. Where would you encounter this? Though not necessarily every 14 days, though your parents would probably like you to stay away from this addiction. Filled to the brim with clues.
Fortnite.
And he does. He says Fortnite. As simple as that. No mucking around for the first 2 questions. The geeks and the erudites get 100 points apiece. Oh, there's barely any time to breathe. The speed at which these guys are answering. All right, the intellects. The challenges of 8-bit technology necessitated a large nose to emphasize his humanity, a mustache to obviate the need for a mouth and facial expressions, overalls to make it easier to see his arms in relation to his body, and a cap to free him from the problems of animating hair. Who was thus born out of these technical constraints? Shobhanay, this is straight from my childhood. What about you?
Well, not from my childhood for sure, but of course I've encountered this, but certainly from your popular culture days. Let's take a look at his answer.
It's Mario.
This is indeed Mario. I am, of course, from the 8-bit generation. They are not, but their knowledge spans the entire gamut from 8 bits to terabytes. That's what makes them the star quizzers of the Battle of the Youth. 100 points to each of the first teams. No pressure on Kolkata Wizards and Ayush Patni. Let's see the question on your screen right now. Question 4. Which pioneer, whose backup was Albina, died when her heartbeat rocketed to triple the normal rate and her breath rate quadrupled due to intense noise and pressure?
Kalpana Chawla.
Fortunately, he's wrong. Now it's worth 150 points with Piyush Kedia.
Laika.
And he gets 150 points in the kitty. Laika, indeed, who went to space, Shaman, right?
Yes, absolutely. A pioneer, quote unquote. Well done. Piyush, of course, a very seasoned quizzer, will not leave such answers to others.
And it's a direct for him now. So great chance to get some extra points in this round. Question 5 on your screen for Piyush Kedia. Although he was intrinsically associated with the development of the atomic bomb, he was opposed to the hydrogen bomb. Stripped of his security clearance by the AEC in 1954 because of his continued association with communists and a casual attitude towards information security, it is speculated that animosity from those who disliked him played a part. Who are we talking about here?
Those were the days of Cold War. AEC is the Atomic Energy Commission, and in the heydays of Cold War, America and Russia was involved in a hairy battle. Let's see.
I guess Oppenheimer.
Well, you said it's a big name. It's not just a big name, it's also a long name. The legendary name, J. Robert Oppenheimer. As you say, Piyush Kedia is a seasoned quizzer. He's not going to miss these. As simple as that. And now Parthadhar, looking to take the Brainiacs from 50 to 150. In 1983, an Su-15 shot down a Korean passenger jet as it strayed into Soviet airspace. Which technology, exclusive to the military till then, was opened to the public by President Ronald Reagan so as to prevent such tragedies henceforth?
GPS.
Partha looks disgusted, but he's absolutely right with the answer. This is indeed GPS, answered very casually but very correctly. And at the end of 2 rounds, let's take a look at the scores. All right, in the lead, the home team, Piyush Kedia and the Aces with 300, followed by Chennai Erudites with 200. Then you've got the Intellects, the Geeks, and the Brainiacs all on 150, and the Kolkata Wizards with 50 points. But as we say, early days yet. In fact, in this format, it's early days even up till the last question of the quiz, because so much can happen in these rounds of differential scoring. It's time now to take a strategic timeout. 2 minutes off for all the contestants to refresh themselves, have a chat with the team management, strategize, and come back stronger, ready to take on the second half of the Science and Tech quiz. Don't go away. We'll see you very soon after a short break. Welcome back, everyone. We are ready with the third round of the Science and Tech quiz. Shamanai, it's time for a very special kind of round, as always.
Okay, Don't Shoot the Messenger is our third round. 6 two-tier questions, 1 direct for each team. For the direct, in the first try, that is only with the visual. If they're right, they get a plus 200. However, the participants can always ask for a hint. If they're right with a hint, they get a plus 100. This round, unlike the first round, passes, and the direction in the order in which the round is going to pass is to be said by the home team after the strategic timeout. This time, this is the Bengaluru Aces who are going to say the order in which they would like this round to pass. Of course, like the first round, you can use your double card here. So potentially you can rake in a 400 points from one particular question. So without further ado, Dhruv, let's take a look at our guest for today.
All right. It's a special round which needs a special guest. Let's welcome Dr. Shivaji Raha, professor, scientist, and a former director of the Bose Institute. And he is going to be sending in his questions via video chat. All right. The first question of round 3, this is going to be for the Mumbai Geeks, and it's on your screens right now.
Which element derives its Latin name from its visual resemblance with this substance at room temperatures?
So a photo of a substance, and they need the name of an element.
I'll say Mercury.
Others looked, double checked with himself, nodded confidently, and he's right. This is Mercury, as simple as that, Shaman.
Yes, indeed. Back to basics, high school 101. And this round, as you said, goes clockwise. So we started with others. The clue is it was also historically known as Quicksilver. And of course, the answer is Mercury. and that was a reference to hydrogyrum, right, which means liquid silver. This is the next question, which goes to Chennai erudite.
Adar Poonawalla is seen here standing next to a bust. Whose bust at the University of Oxford is this?
So Adar Poonawalla standing next to a bust. Whose bust is that? As simple as that. Question for the Chennai erudites.
Of course, the man of the moment with the vaccines and all. Let's take a look at G. Akshay's guess.
Edward Jenner.
He didn't wait for a clue. He said Edward Jenner.
I mean, he does the Serum Institute vaccine, and Jenner invented the vaccine.
And like I said, it's great to see when quizzers put first principles in place. As simple as that. Edward Jenner. Whom else would Adar Poonawalla choose to stand beside but the man who invented a famous vaccine? Edward Jenner, as simple as that, without a clue. So both the teams have got 200 points apiece. And the Ahmedabad intellects now with question 3 on your screens now.
See here a GIF, a picture which shows an eponymous phenomenon at work. And who lends his name to this molecular deflection?
So we're looking at a GIF here, and there's someone in the GIF. So who lends his name to this molecular deflection?
Yeah, also telltale clue in the apparel. Let's see what Ahmedabad has to say.
Isn't C.V. Raman?
He's not gone for a clue as well.
Because we have the Raman effect, which is related to diffraction of light.
All three teams choosing to answer without the clue, and all three teams getting 200 points. That is indeed C.V. Raman, Shamunai.
Indeed, and the clue for, I mean, if Soumya went for a clue, it would have been he briefly worked at the Indian Association of Cultivation of Science in Kolkata. That was in his early days. So Kolkata has, of course, lots of connections with reputed Nobel laureates, and C.V. Raman was, of course, one of them. All three teams, as you rightly pointed out, gets 200 points. Pressure on Ayush Patni from Kolkata Wizards.
Who is this British chemist among whose influential discoveries is included the confirmation of the structure of penicillin?
So we're looking at the photograph of a British chemist, Ayush Patni. The Wizards are on 50. Will he go for a 200?
Okay, Ayush thinking hard. He probably wants for a clue.
I would double. I'll take a double.
He's going for a double. Wow.
This is Fleming.
He's gone for Alexander Fleming. I don't think he looked at the photograph. That isn't the photo of a man. And unfortunately, no negatives, but he's lost his 2x card and it's come to nothing. So it passes now to Piyush Kedia.
Margaret Sanger.
He unfortunately misses it as well. On to Parthadhar and the Brainiacs.
I'll guess Rosalind Franklin.
Not Rosalind Franklin. Passes to the Geeks. No guess forthcoming from the Geeks, I think.
Yeah.
I pass it to the erudites.
Dorothy Hodgkins.
And finally, we have the answer, Dorothy Hodgkin. He unfortunately said Hodgkins, which is a reference to the syndrome. But terrible miss by the Wizards, Shamunai.
Yes, absolutely. I thought you would get it, you know, and all reputed names from the world of science. We have 4 IITians here, should be right up their alley, but sometimes happens in quizzes, you know, happens to the best of us. Akshay, of course, easy picking for him. He knew Dorothy Hodgkin. The clue was she was a Nobel laureate and she was one of the first to see the DNA double helix model. Okay, what a range of achievements, right from confirming penicillin to the DNA double helix model.
All right, question 5 for Bengaluru on your screens now.
In 1951, Jawaharlal Nehru requested this lady to return to India to serve India, and she was appointed as the government supervisor of the Botanical Survey of India? Who is this namesake of a mythical queen?
So we're looking at a lady from Indian history, someone in the world of science and tech, whose name is the same as that of a mythical queen.
Yeah, I'll take a clue.
Okay, the aces take a clue. Considered to be India's first woman botanist, at the age of 80, she protested to preserve the Silent Valley National Park.
Ace is thinking hard. Probably not too familiar to him, but of course, this is a name worth celebrating. This is very unfortunate in Indian science that it's always male dominated.
Padmini Nayak.
I don't think that's the right answer. So I think, Dhruv, we will pass to Delhi Brainiacs.
Yeah, I'll guess Sarojini Naidu.
Partha says Naidu. Pass it now to the geeks.
Rukmini Devi.
Rukmini Devi says, so wrong. Pass it to the erudites.
I'll say Sairandari.
Sairindari. At least he's got his mythical queens, or rather their forms correct. Pass it to the intellects.
I say Padmini Ray.
Not Padmini Ray. Pass it to the wizards.
So I'll take a double card. Is this Janaki Amal?
The wizards go for a double in consecutive questions, and he's right. This is indeed Janaki Ammal. What a moment this is. Remember, the Kolkata Wizards have a lot of 2x cards. They wasted one of them with the last guess, but he's more than made up for it because he's actually got a very, very tough one here, and he's done it with style. Janaki Ammal, Shamunai.
And indeed, he exhausts his 2x card quota for this particular quiz. But nonetheless, the next question goes to Delhi Brainiacs. The last and final question of this round. Let's hear it.
This is a panel from a graphic novel by Nicholas Wilde that retraces the last hours of someone's life. Who is this gentleman whose death raised many conspiracy theories?
So we've had photos, we've had GIFs, and now we've got a cartoon strip. Parthadhar looking hard, reading the text.
Yeah, Partho is not much confident. I guess he goes for a clue. Let's hear an answer from him.
Yeah, I guess Bikram Sarabhai.
He says Vikram Sarabhai, which is unfortunately the wrong answer. Passes to the geeks who are ready and waiting.
Homi J. Bhabha.
And that's a home team answer if there ever was one. Homi Bhabha indeed. Cursing himself is Parthador of the Delhi Brainiacs. He named a famous name, but the wrong one.
Indeed, and he should have actually gone for the clue. I mean, still he could have gone for 100 points. The clue was a telltale one. He's considered as the father of the Indian nuclear program. Partho isn't too happy with himself, but happens to the best of us, Dhruv, because from the comfort of our homes, we think these questions are very, very simple. But the person who is facing it, he's in the heat.
Absolutely, and that reflects in the scorecard. And as you can see on your screens right now, you've got the Chennai Erudites right now in the lead with 500 points. 450 points right behind the Mumbai Geeks. 350 points for the Ahmedabad Intellects, and the home team right now with 300 points. The Kolkata Wizards with that terrible moment followed by that magnificent moment are right now on 250 points. They must be wondering that they could have got much more than that had they just either held on to their card or perhaps gone for a better answer. Nonetheless, you've got the Delhi Brainiacs on 150, and you have to say it's still even Stevens. Don't go by the difference in scores, because we've got yet another round of differential scoring coming up. This is the last round of the Science and Tech quiz in the ProQuizzin League Battle of the Youth.
Absolutely, the last and final round is the final frontier. And Just like round 2, it's 6 questions, but this time it goes anti-clockwise, 1 direct for each team. That differential passing just right round 2, you have 100 points for a direct answer, but if it passes all the way, a potential 350 points is up for grabs in a single question, which can change the scorecard completely. So there is no settling down for the teams, no thinking that, I have done enough for the quiz, I can sit around and enjoy, but this is a format which will test you to the T. Dhruv, let's take a look at the first ever question. All of these questions are connection based. Dhruv, take it away.
All right, the first question now, anti-clockwise, so it starts with the Delhi Brainiacs. Connect these images with a business executive.
Okay, you have 4 images there.
Satya Nadella. Yeah, so F5 is refresh. Hit refresh is his autobiography. 2 from Balmer at Microsoft. He studied in, I think he's from Hyderabad, and his funny path is where he studied at.
There's nothing left to answer. There's nothing left to explain. He gets it all. That is indeed Satya Nadella. Let's take a look at the connect, Shamunai.
Absolutely. That was the Manipal Institute of Technology where he studied. That is Charminar in Hyderabad, where he hails from. He succeeded Steve Ballmer as the CEO of Microsoft, and F5 is a refresh key. Hit refresh is his autobiography as correctly explained by Partho. So now we move anti-clockwise to Piyush Kedia, Bengaluru Aces. His last and final chance to get an answer on his direct. Let's take a look at the question, Dhruv.
Which tongue-twisting heroine, who as a child helped her father collect specimens for peddling in the shop in early 1800s coastal England, can be connected with these images? G. Akshay, champing at the bit, but it's for Piyush Kedia.
Mary Ann. So that is Ammonite, where I think she was there. And yeah, she used to collect fossils, and you say tongue twisting, so seashells on the seashore.
He has to say it again, doesn't he?
She sells seashells on the seashore.
He gets it right both times, and he gets the answer right. Mary Anning, indeed. She sells seashells on the seashore. The Chennai erudites were jumping out of their seat to answer this. But let's take a look at the explanation, Shaman Noy.
And of course, that is Kate Winslet playing her at an Ammonite. That is, of course, a reference to seashells. This is the remains of Ichthyosaur, and Ross is a paleontologist from France. Okay. And this is a direct to Ayush Patni in the Kolkata Wizards. Dhruv, take it away.
Which Ryazan-born physiologist, thanks to whom the term conditioned response rings a bell for everyone, can be connected with these images? Very, very hint-filled, well-worded question. Shouldn't be difficult for Ayush. Unfortunately,
The other teams are cursing.
Ivan Pavlov.
He says Ivan Pavlov.
So basically, he made that experiment where he rang a bell and then the dogs used to salivate. And so he developed the theory of conditioned response. He's from Russia. So Ryazan is in Russia. Like that.
That's 150 points gifted by the Kolkata Wizards to the Ahmedabad Intellects. Ivan Pavlov, indeed.
Absolutely. You see Dmitry Mendeleev there of the periodic table. He was a teacher of Pavlov. You have Mutz, the dogs, and A.G. Wells introduced him to the American audience. And of course, Pavlov won the Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine. Easy picking there for Soumya Sharma from Ahmedabad Intellects. Ahmedabad, this is their direct now, Dhruv. Dhruv, let's take a look at Ahmedabad's question.
Question 4 on your screen now. What kind of software engaged with prevention, detection, and removal can be associated with these images? 2 photographs and a symbol.
Yeah, that's a logo, I think, but Ahmedabad's direct, they can get 100 points and stop others from picking up.
So the answer is antivirus. So I think the middle guy is McAfee. So McAfee is a popular antivirus. And anyway, the definition matches the...
And he doesn't let that pass. It is indeed antivirus.
Absolutely. All of us probably use this removal detection. That was, of course, Kaspersky, after whom an antivirus is named. So is McAfee, and that was a logo of Symantec, yet another popular antivirus. The penultimate question will go to G. Akshay, but before that, we'll take a look at the scores. Dhruv.
All right. Right now, the intellects are in the lead with 600 points. The erudites with 500. The geeks on 450. The home team are on 400, the aces, and 250 points apiece for the Brainiacs on the Kolkata Wizards. We're down to the last 2 questions. If you remember, the history and heritage quiz ended in a thrilling cliffhanger because it's a terrible feeling once you've let go of a question. You have no idea who's going to answer it, how far down the line, and cost you how many points. Let's take a look at the fifth penultimate question on your screens right now for the Chennai erudites and G. Akshay. If formerly these were part of a suite, what term is used to describe the collection these tools are a part of? So you've got four icons, and the question is quite simply, which suite were these formerly a part of?
Yeah, and I think it has undergone a rebranding from what I understand. Akshay should get this, probably used it as well.
Classroom.
He says classroom, which is incorrect. It passes to the geeks, worth 150 points now.
Toolkit.
Toolkit is wrong, now worth 200 points. Delhi Brainiacs.
Google Office products.
Google Office products, he says, worth 250 now with the aces.
Workspace. I've been using it a lot, so this is now Google Mail is all part of Google Workspace.
And that's a fantastic 250 points snapped up by the aces. The home team get it right with Google Workspace. Beautiful answer there by Piyush Kedia.
Piyush was nowhere there and he's suddenly in the lead. So you had forms, you had sites, calendar, Jamboard, all Google products, formerly part of G Suite, now part of Google Workspace. Okay, the last and final question, Dhruv, for Adarsh Kumar Mohapatra of Mumbai Gates.
All right, with which wizard can one connect these images? A New Jersey establishment, name dropped by a commentator, and a businessman. It's an interesting question, and everyone looks interested. Let's see whether the geeks can grab 100 points.
Okay, Adarsh should get this.
Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison, he says.
Businessman, I'll guess is Westinghouse. Establishment, I'm not sure. Maybe Black Maria. I'm not sure.
And he's right. This is indeed Thomas Alva Edison. He didn't get all the connects right. But Shamanai, let's take a look at the explanation.
Absolutely. That was Menlo Park. Thomas Edison was called the Wizard of Menlo Park. That is, of course, Lewis Howard Latimer, who was famously named after by Michael Holding during West Indies tour of England in 2020. He was the inventor of the carbon filament, and the American businessman in question was J.P. Morgan. So all well connected by Adarsh Mohapatra there, and he gets 100 points. It is really down to the wire. That was the last and final question, Dhruv. Let's take a look at the final scores as it is at the end of this particular quiz.
Just take a look at the body language of all the participants. Piyush Kedia bringing home honors for the Bengaluru Aces with 650 points. Right behind him with 600 points are the Intellects. And the Mumbai Geeks with that last gasp answer get 550 points. And after leading for a lot of the quiz, the erudites finished fourth with 500. 250 points apiece for the Brainiacs and the Wizards. And you have to feel for the Wizards. They'll be sitting and wondering what they could have achieved had they not gone for that wrong 2x and had they not let go of a couple of simple answers. But again, as Shaman I said, that's the nature of the game. It's very easy to sit and watch a quiz and think what one should do, shouldn't do, or how easy something is. It's a whole different ball game, or rather a whole different question game out there. All right, now let's take a look at the impact of today's scores on today's point table. So 6 points will be taken home by the Bengaluru Aces, 5 points by the Intellects. The Geeks will take 4 points, the Erudites 3 points, and the Brainiacs and Wizards will take 2 points apiece. Shamanai, what does this mean for the overall points table, which is changing every single week, going wildly up and down? Let's take a look.
Bengaluru Aces after 3 games are on 900 and their points is 17. So they can breathe a sigh of relief, but I don't think so because it's only 1/4 of the league. So there are a lot of permutations, combinations still possible, but 2 consecutive wins for the Bengaluru Aces means that they would be slightly happy at this point of time. Ahmedabad Intellects total of 800, but with 13 points. Following them is Chennai Erudites on 10 points, Kolkata Wizards also on 10 points, Mumbai Geeks on 9, and Delhi Brainiacs on 7. So as you can see, there's a bit of a permutation combination going in the last 4 places. Bengaluru and Ahmedabad has gone unchanged from the last quiz. But in this particular quiz, Chennai has come up a bit, so has Mumbai, Kolkata has gone down a bit, and so has Delhi. So all these will happen, and all these will happen in the course of the quiz. All this is very, very regular in the course of the league. Anything can happen at any moment. And Dhruv, what do you think?
Well, as I said, this competition is going to be fierce. It's going to get hotter, and it's just going to swing back and forth wildly. Because next week, Shobana, we've got the fourth quiz. And what's that going to be? Tell our viewers.
And that will be the Leaders and Personalities quiz. So from SciTech, we move to Leaders and Personalities. We cover all bases here, and we have to wait for the Leaders and Personalities quiz next week, Dhruv.
In the meantime, our request to everyone is to stay safe, stay healthy, and stay cheerful. We'll be back with the fourth episode of the ProQuizzing League Battle of the Youth very soon. Keep watching, keep cheering, keep quizzing.